Hi, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Proud to live in the greatest country in the world. Unfiltered opinions, no PC discussion here. Agree, disagree, hate it, love it, it's all good. Sit back and enjoy some unfiltered commentary. We discuss politics, culture, interviews, and more. Your comments are always welcome. Please help the channel by hitting that subscribe button. Doesn't cost a thing. And as always, thanks for your support. Texas GOP Chair Allen West floats secession after SCOTUS ruling spars with AOC. The U.S. Supreme Court's refusal to hear a case challenging election results sparked a wave of outrage from President Trump supporters. The High Court's decision on Friday prompted Trump's lawyer Rudy Giuliani to condemn the form of censorship while they called for military intervention and more. The chairman of the Republican Party of Texas suggested some states break away over the court's decision not to intervene in the Texas-based case that alleged election results in 4 states that went Democrat to Democrat Joe Biden last month. The Supreme Court, in tossing a Texas lawsuit that was joined by 17 states and 106 U.S. congressmen, had decreed that a state can take unconstitutional actions and violate its own election laws, Texas GOP Chairman Allen West said in a statement following Supreme Court rejection, resulting in damaging effects in other states that abide by the law, while the guilty states suffer no consequences. This decision establishes a precedent that says states can violate the U.S. Constitution and not be held accountable. The retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel and former Florida Congressman. I agree, 100%. I am very disappointed that the case wasn't heard by the Supreme Court. Now, I think the chances of the people that filed the Texas AG winning were probably less than 20%. I would say 85-15 if I had to guess. But I think the case needed to be heard. I think everything should be exposed. Sunshine is the best disinfectant, as they say, as the saying goes. And this didn't happen. And I'm really surprised because if I remember correctly, it takes 4 Supreme Court justices to hear a case out of the 9, not a majority. And they couldn't come up with 4. I'm really, really, really surprised. I think they tried to dodge the issue. I think they see, at least there's a great potential of some very, very, very weird things going on in the election this year. Strange anomalies, irregularities. Can't use the new F word here on YouTube, F-R-A-U-D. And I think this leaves a bitter taste for the Constitutionalists, not just for Trump supporters. People forget something. This whole thing is not about Donald Trump. It is about the Constitution of the United States and free and fair elections. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump or Joe Biden, for that matter. They just happen to be players in this particular part of it. And I'm incredibly disappointed. I think they could have done much better to take it. Yeah, it's the case of probably of their entire lives on the Supreme Court. And they skirted their responsibility. That's just my opinion. This decision will have far-reaching ramifications for the future of our constitutional republic. Perhaps law-abiding states should bond together and form a union of states that will abide by the Constitution, West said. Texas GOP will always stand for the Constitution and for the rule of law, even when others don't, the statement read. The Texas GOP is out with a statement in the wake of the Supreme Court decision, all but calling for secession. And here's part of the tweet. Supreme Court, in tossing the Texas lawsuit that was joined by 17 states and 106 U.S. congressmen, have decreed that a state can take constitutional action and violate its own election law. Yeah, we went through that. West reiterated his view on the Joe Peg show, saying that perhaps we should let other states go out their own separate way and and let them not be supported by those other states such as ourselves. I think the divide is so wide now in ideology. I call the progressives and the leftists flat earthers. They are convinced in their ideology, even though it's totally, totally wrong. They're convinced. They're convinced. And they are relentless. They are relentless. You can't co-survive. You can't live together with those ideologies so apart. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez reacted to the idea by mocking the Confederacy of dunces on Twitter. West quickly shut down the Democrat Socialists from New York. Better than being in a People's Republic of Fools. You can live in the social states in America. I prefer the Constitution of the United States. Yeah, it's the document. It is the most unique and best government document of government layout, I should say, how things should be in the entire world, in the history of the world, I believe. And they're wiping their butts with it, frankly. And it's such a shame because this Constitution is all we have. Is the Constitution that gives us rights that no one else in the world has. The Bill of Rights is sacrosanct, and the Constitution's been stomped on under the cover of COVID-19. Granted, a lot of people are going to die. I wish that wasn't true. And my heart goes out, and I know some people here in upstate New York that have friends or family. I just lost a cousin recently. Of course, he was quite elderly. He was almost 90, but even still. He survived 3 cancer bouts over his lifetime, a heart attack, and finally COVID got him in the end. Yeah, I like the guy a lot. He was my second cousin. And my heart breaks for his kids. But you can't avoid these hardships in life. I wish when a pandemic struck, it was different. People are going to get sick and they're going to die. And the Constitution does not have a little asterisk in the bottom that says, oh, these rules only apply when it's convenient for you. It's just amazing to me. People in this country entitled to a hearing on this, Julian, a former federal prosecutor, told Hannity. I feel the Supreme Court, or at least 7 of the justices, have evaded their responsibility to try to bring this country together and give us a rational view of this case as opposed to the hysterical propaganda we've had so far. Conservative radio and television host Mark Levin warned that the court's unwillingness to even hear significant challenges will boomerang. The irony of this Supreme Court's latest duck is that, in the end, it may have ruined itself. That is, if the Democrats take control of the Senate seats in Georgia and Biden is sworn in as president. Schumer has made clear his intent to destroy the court as an independent institution. Consequently, the court's unwillingness to even hear significant challenges will boomerang. I agree. I agree. I agree. It's pretty bad. There's no way to say it than they dodged. They hid their behind procedure, and they refused to use their authority to enforce the Constitution, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany said of the High Court during an interview with Hannity on Friday. Yeah, they did. They dodged. They dodged it, and I'm so disappointed. I know Alito and Judge Thomas, and Justice Thomas, I should say, wanted to hear it. And they basically did it on a procedural matter. It's like you file papers in court 5 minutes late than the deadline, so they throw the whole thing out even though you would have won the case, or it would have been a very fascinating case at best. It's, I can't even tell you. If the Supreme Court can't save our republic, then where's the military? Lynette Hardaway and Rochelle Richardson, also known as Diamond and Silk, tweeted. West's comments implying a secession by some states sparked plenty of reaction in social media where comments flowed on the issue. The topic of a split nation came just days after conservative radio king Rush Limbaugh was attacked by the left for just mentioning the word secession during his radio broadcast. Rush Limbaugh hits a nerve, believes America is likely heading towards secession. White House Republican Representative Alan Zinger of Illinois called for the Texas GOP to immediately retract this, apologize, and fire Alan West over the statement. Arkansas GOP Representative Bruce Westerman called for unity. SCOTUS rejected the case and I believe closed the books on challenges of the 2020 election results, he said in a statement. The only milestone left in completing the election process will be for Congress counting the votes on January 6th. The casting of electoral votes will end in a highly contested election, and we should come together as Americans to work together for the future of our country. These older Republicans, when I say older, I don't mean necessarily their chronological age. The old way of these Republicans thinking that these progressives and leftists are good faith negotiators. They will sit down and negotiate in good faith. That's a lie. They never have and they never will. One thing these progressives and leftists are, they are incredibly consistent. If they do not get their own way, they'll say there's a list of 20 things they want. They won't settle for 19 or 18. They will fight you all the way to the end. They will not give up. Their ideology runs their brain. They're not acting in good faith. And to think you work together for the future of the country, that time has passed. We could talk about how that happened and why, maybe in the universities, and we can go through the list, that the Republicans stood by and watched these progressives and leftists take over every bit of media, every bit of culture, movies, sports, you name it, and then take over our universities, and now they're in our high schools and junior high schools and even elementary schools, and stood by and did nothing. Nothing. Wow. Meanwhile, these people think they negotiate in good faith for the future of the country. Those days are past. Those days are past. This is very much like the compromises made in the 1800s to avoid a civil war. Now, I'm not saying we're going to have a ground armies on the ground civil war, but something is going to have to give. One side is going to have to lose. And I'll tell you, I'll always will side with the people and the side that defends the Constitution. That Constitution is etched in stone. It is not a living document. It is made that way. It's a framework. And it's how we've become so successful, socially, as well as financially and militarily, and became the biggest, richest, and most powerful country in the world. That's not a coincidence. And it's not a coincidence. People are killing themselves literally to get here. And they want to wipe their behinds with it. And people like myself, I'm just a small guy on a small YouTube channel, will now allow it to happen. We have to start banding together. We have to, the firewall is Georgia. And if that falls, God help us. But still, we cannot give up. We cannot be discouraged. And we're going to talk about a little bit here if that does happen. And some states decide to say, you know what? You guys want to form your own country. We're going to stay in the United States. I don't call that secession. I call that constitutionalism.